Alright, YouTube, we're trying a new setup today. So, you guys seem to have gave me just a little bit of love on my Archangel video. Wow, I don't understand how people do this flipping thing while talking. I am not that good. Okay, so this one might be a little bit controversial, but I have a 42 clone. This is the 142. And yes, I did those air quotes because, and I'll explain later on, I don't fully support clones, but I don't mind clones as much as counterfeits. I will not support a counterfeit. So that is just my personal view on it. But I always wanted a Benchmade Model 42. I found this on Slash to Gash, and I love it. It's not the best flipper. It is quite handle bias, but it's not bad. It's not to the point where it's not flippable or anything. It's definitely doable. But you will notice a lot of wobble in fans. It likes to do rollovers and chaplains. It's honestly okay at aerials, but I'm not super confident at throwing an aerial right now with a live blade. My hands are very valuable. Yeah, so I think we might do this on the messy table, but I just wanted to start off with a little bit of flipping because it's definitely a doable flipper. Now again, I am very much a novice. I'm still learning a lot of things. I just got this thumb chaplain down, so I still have a lot of room to improve. But this is something that I always wanted from back in the day. So, let's talk about it. Let's bring you guys down to the table. My very messy table. Alright. So we have here a 42. Clone. Sure. So, this is the 142. Oh, I'm always unprepared. I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab its brother. So, be right back. Alright, we are back. So, here is its stainless steel brother. Let me bring y'all up just a little bit. This is not the best tripod. It's a very cheap tripod. Alright. My messy table review. Oh, here comes Buddy again. Hi, Buddy. How's it going? I see. Never touch a dinosaur. Good job. You want to go watch TV with your book? You're just determined to be in every video, huh? Okay. So let's talk about these without flipping them while my son looks through his dinosaur book. So, this one is the titanium version. This is the one that everybody's kind of looking at getting. And yes, I did a very terrible flame anno on it, and I still love it. So there you go. In total, these are good. So when I'm reviewing Balisongs, I'm reviewing them as a knife and also as a skill toy, because a lot of Balisong reviewers are leaving out the fact that they are a knife, which is what interests me about them. The fact is that this was designed to be your first really strong, easy work knife that you could just throw in your pocket. That was the whole point of the Balisong. Hey, buddy. This one is modeled after the Benchmade Model 42, but it is not exact by any stretch of the imagination. The big thing is that blade style. Okay? So you can see that this one, and I don't have a real 42 to show you guys. That's why I got this thing, because I always wanted a 42, and when I saw it, I was like, I have to have this because I have to have this in my collection. But it has a lot more belly up here. Okay? And so it does not look like a 42. Not even remotely, if you ask me. Our original 42 is much more flat across the edge. It's also, the original is not crowned on the back. This has a crowned spine, which is incredible. Every single Balisong should have some sort of crown or chamfered spine. And that's where our biggest differences come. Now, from what I understand, these are milled handles, whereas old Benchmades were cast. In my opinion, milled is a lot better. Titanium is a work-hardened material. That means the more that you grind it, the harder it gets. So milling it actually makes a stronger material. So there's that one. This one is the one that I carry. This one is not. This is the stainless steel one. And what I want to do is I actually want to take this blade and put it on those handles, because I love the look of this Harpoon Tanto. And this is where I really say, you know, it is inspired by the design that Benchmade did, but it is not a exact clone. You've never seen a Benchmade Model 42 that had this style of Tanto, and I love it. I think that it looks amazing. Oh, also, they run on bushings, which, again, Benchmades did not run on bushings. If you guys remember my last video, I have a Benchmade 51. That still doesn't have bushings either, and that's a much newer knife than the Model 42. Hello again, buddy. Yep, I see your grumpy reindeer. You're very determined to be wherever Daddy is. I know. All right. So, thoughts as a flipper. The stainless steel one is way too heavy, for obvious reasons. Now, for me, every once in a while it's fun to bring out because it feels like home, because I started out on stainless steel Balisongs. When I started flipping, it was back around 2008-ish. Got my first cheap Chinese piece of crap, and I started flipping on that. That was stainless steel handles. Well, it was cast handles. It was cast steel that the steel ended up breaking because it was so cheaply made. There he goes. Okay, now he's out of camera range. This thing is so heavy that it cannot fan. And honestly, it can do rollovers, but it's very fatiguing. So, don't have a lot of space here with where I set up this camera. But that still looks incredible. I love the blue holes. I love the Tanto blade. These are 440C. So, as Balisongs, the titanium is what you have to go with if you want to actually flip it. And that's a huge price difference. This is twice the price that is. Which is why I got them both, because I wanted to try both. The titanium Like I said, still quite handle bias. Fans are not easy. Rollovers are. Depending on what your style is, if you're still a fairly new flipper, this is not a bad thing to start with, but just know your fans are always going to be wobbly. I mean, I'm assuming you could probably smooth that out, but it's always going to be wobbly. But it will do aerials pretty good, and it'll do rollovers pretty good. The overall roundness of the handle, very comfortable. And honestly, the blade shape is great on both of these. He's far enough away now that I feel pretty safe to put these out at the moment. This Tonto, very functional. They both came nice and sharp. This thing I've been EDCing quite a bit. Like I said, now this one, my bushings are perfect. Do you see how little play that is? That's like almost no play. All right, and this thing has been dropped plenty of times. This thing, however, came with way oversized bushings. And so do you see that? Yeah. And that's cranked down as tight as it'll go. Now, again, my goal is to take this blade, put it on those handles. So then I'm going to have to tune these bushings anyway, which is why I haven't tuned them on this one. Because, like I said, I just don't flip it anyway. The other issue that I'm running into with this, I'm sorry about the noise, my son found his train. The other issue that I'm running into with this is the same issue that we had back in the day with our old steel Balisongs. Because it's so heavy, it's causing divots in the actual handle. I don't know. Will you focus? Maybe. Don't know. I can get the focus on it. But yeah, so it has these divots right there where you can see where it's eating into the handle because it's so heavy. When it's hitting that tang pin, it's actually marring up the actual handle and it's decreasing my handle gap, and it's just not as premium of a feel, we'll put it that way. So why am I doing a review on this? Well, for one thing, I haven't found any good reviews that are going in depth on this. Two, I told you guys, I don't consider this truly a clone. I consider this inspired off of the original. That crown spine, the bushing system, the fact the blade doesn't look the same. So they're calling it a clone based solely off the spring latch and the handle style. But yet, nobody calls this thing a clone. And I really like this one. It flips really well. It's a little heavy, but it's balanced really good. This is the Bear & Sons Bear Ops or Bear Song. What is it? Bear Song 8, something like that. Same style spring latch. That buoy, or not buoy, that bayonet blade is much closer to the original 42 Weehawk than this thing is. I mean, do you see? This is that flat blade like I had said about. This is what the old 42s looked like. It's just on a slightly bigger package. This one, you can see how it sweeps upward. That's completely different overall design. I will probably review this later on. So, closing thoughts on this thing. It's really good, especially if you're still a fairly new flipper. It's in that $130-ish range, so it's that nice middle ground, and it flips like a middle ground flipper. It flips like a middle ground flipper that is handle bias. So if that's what you're looking for, it's great. If you're looking for a Balisong that you can actually carry, it is a good Balisong that you can actually do work with. the 440C is adequately hardened. I have been using this thing constantly, and it still has a decent edge on it. And honestly, you hit it with a strop, and it comes right back. It's a little chewed up. My camera is not a great camera. I mean, it's a phone camera, so it is what it is. I doubt that you can see, but it's got some chipping, partly because of being dropped on hard surfaces, partly just from abuse. The whole point of Balisongs is they are a hard use folder. That was what always interested me. Now again, if they're made out of cheap materials, that's not true. But this thing, titanium, stainless steel, this is a hard use folder. This is something that you can carry, and it's a good apocalypse knife. This one would also be a pretty good apocalypse knife, although I will say the stainless steel on this is a low-grade stainless because it is divoting already, and that should not happen. .440C, I don't understand all the hate that people give it. I think it's a great everyday carry steel. It's not the hardest thing out there, but that also makes it really easy to sharpen. It holds an edge longer than anybody really needs. Honestly. I like it. And I like this knife. So, say what you will about not supporting clones. This is a design that has been discontinued for around 12 years now. At some point, you have to be able to improve on it. And that's what the One did, in my opinion, is they took the design and they improved on it. And it is a improved design. It looks great. It feels good. I like it. And if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you were looking into it, just like I was, trying to find a good review. Somebody who's going to be honest with you. And I'll be honest, bushings on mine are perfect. Get the titanium. Don't waste your time with the stainless. If you want that blade, they sell the blade separate. Alright, and if I had to do over, that's what I would have done. It's great. There's no reason not to love it. Again, this is not going to fit everybody's style, because if you're a really fan-heavy flipper, this thing is really handle biased. It's not a neutral flipper at all. The weight is all in the handles, just like we liked it back in the 90s. Alright? So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that you found it a little bit informative. And with that, keep smiling. Peace.